Hello and welcome to the next in our series on a recent trip aboard the Regent Seven Seas Voyager. In this segment, we're going to talk about our overall experience and the pros and cons, what went right, what went wrong with this particular voyage. Then we'll check out the Regent experience, pricing structure and inclusions, and whether those inclusions add to the experience as a pro or a con, and then we'll close with some final thoughts. But before we get started, this is my disclaimer. The opinions in this video are our opinions and our opinions only. Your own experiences and opinions might be quite different from ours. But if they are, I would appreciate it if you'd leave a comment in the comments section and let us know if you agree or disagree, and of course why. So let's talk about some of those things that might be pros and cons or ups and downs of this particular voyage. And I'm not even sure I can call these cons other than they were things that didn't go quite the way we expected them to. So here are a few of those things that we were quite happy with, and a few that just made us scratch our heads and say, And while admittedly some of this might have been outside of Regent's control, some of it most certainly was within their control. We'll start with the flights. The flights for this trip, as arranged by Regent, were pretty good. We had Delta business class outbound and a very good return flight on Emirates. Arrangements and connections on these flights were pretty solid, so we'll have to give it a thumbs up. Next up is one of those things that make you go, One of the reasons we travel on Regent and Silver Sea and smaller cruise lines is that the lower passenger numbers keep the line shorter. We were surprised when we got off our bus, holding only about 8 people, to find the check-in line wrapped around 3 deep. This seemed unusual and sort of out of step with what we had experienced from Regent in the past. But regardless, 30 minutes later, and we were walking toward the ship. Now this next one was likely a shore excursion, contractor, and a Regent problem. When we landed in Africa, the tour buses tend to clump up, and in some cases we were even accompanied by an armed police escort, but the problem arose when we returned to the ship. All 5 buses just dumped us off simultaneously with more buses ramping up behind, and we ended up with a very long line under the hot African sun, with all the buses sitting there idling and adding to the heat, trapped by the lines, and a traffic jam on the gangway. While this wasn't that much of a problem for us, we looked around and saw several people older than us, and some with mobility issues. Add that to the cold towels and the drinks were on the inside of the ship instead of being distributed to the people in line, and we thought we had spotted a problem and offered a solution to Regent in writing. We turned this treatise into Regent through the head concierge, Millie, and she promised to move it up the ladder. Well, although we never did get a response from anyone other than Millie, we found that our next port and next excursion, again with a bus convoy, again all arriving at the same time. However, this time the buses pulled right up to the gangway and unloaded sequentially, while we at the back stayed on the air-conditioned bus. So while I thought this was a good solution, we had one gentleman who was very upset about having to stay on the bus, and he raised a fuss, even offering the driver $20 to let him off the bus right then and there. Oh well, while I thought I was doing a good deed, it turns out the old adage is true. You can please some of the people all of the time. You can please all of the people some of the time, but you can't please all of the people all of the time. And then there were the lines. Now, there were some lines that you would expect, such as everybody trying to get into the theater for a special event at the same time. Here we are wrapped around the atrium for the Seven Seas Society night. But the biggest issue for me were the days that we were supposed to meet face to face with Customs and Immigration in Africa. They would publish it, send you a letter explaining how they were going to do it, and then not do it that way. And what that resulted in was massive confusion and everybody trying to show up at the same time. It just didn't work very well that way. Something unexpected and a minor negative was the food consistency. In the past, traveling on Regent, the food was, well, rather good, with exceptions few and far between. This time, however, there were two problems that consistently popped up. One was the food was not as I ordered it. I ordered this pork chop medium, and it was presented to me well beyond well done, and so tough I could barely cut it. It was so overdone that I returned it to the kitchen. When it came back, it was fine. On another night, I ordered lamb chops, and I ordered them medium rare as I usually do. What came out was just north of medium. While overdone, I decided not to return these rather than disrupt the meal and continued on. And while I had other nights where things weren't done quite the way I wanted them, it was close enough. But in Walvis Bay, I received another piece that I just couldn't justify eating and had to send back to the kitchen, and that was a local Jimsbach filet steak, a local antelope variety that was farm raised. I ordered it medium rare as recommended by the internet, and what came out was another piece of meat that was really overdone. I tried it, and I could not even chew it, so back it went. And the one that was returned to me was cooked perfectly and very nice. All of these food faux pas were, for the most part, in the Compass Rose or the main dining room. The other venues did not seem to suffer from this affliction. But there was one other thing that the Compass Rose suffered from, as well as La Veranda Buffet, and that was the seasoning. Not that they were over-seasoned, but in fact, many, if not most, of the dishes were under-seasoned. While not as bad as the opposite, it did have me reaching for the salt and pepper more often than I ever had on a Regent, or for that matter, on other cruise lines. Now, none of these things that I just talked about were showstoppers. Lines are to be expected in some spots, and no plan survives contact with, well, people. And while there were some rough spots with the food, in general it was very good, sometimes even wonderful. Please let me know if you experienced something else in the comments, and let me know if you agree or disagree with my assessments. Well, with the gripes out of the way, let's get started with the Regent experience. And to start, we'll talk about the pricing structure. Because Regent is so inclusive, there are only a select number of choices to be made before you have booked your cruise. Unlike many cruise lines where the choices and decisions that you have to make are seemingly endless, Regent boils it down to this. You select your itinerary and the category of suite that you want to purchase, whether or not you want to supply your own transportation, as in port-to-port cruise only, or purchase a door-to-door option that includes airfare and transfers. You can opt into what Regent calls the ultimate upgrade and select either economy air or business class air, or even if you dig a little deeper, premium economy. Here's a nice chart that shows what is included in your cruise-only fare and what is added when you select the ultimate upgrade. That ultimate upgrade includes chauffeur service from your home to the airport and from the airport to your home upon your return. There's really only one other decision, and that's to decide whether you want to indulge in the pre- or post-cruise extensions from Regent or arrange for something of your own. Regent is probably the most all-inclusive cruise line, so let's take a look at what those inclusions are and whether or not they are truly a perk. Included shore excursions are a big plus, and it's not like some of the other lines that include one excursion in each port. For our trip, Barcelona to Cape Town, South Africa, there were a total of 67 included excursions and 28 what they call Regent's Choice excursions, the pay-to-play excursions, and even those ranged from a low of $99 per person up to about $489 per person, and that one was a helicopter ride. Check out our upcoming videos on the port stops to find out just how good those excursions were. This was a huge pro for us and a very worthwhile inclusion. Next, let's talk about what Regent calls exquisite dining. Now, I commented on the dining a little bit earlier and went into some depth in my dining and drinking guide, so check that out for more information. But overall, the food is very good, with only few exceptions, and the fact that there is no additional upcharge for any of the specialty restaurants, and that is overall a pro, at least in my book. Another inclusion that is definitely a pro is the fact that if you enjoy a drink or two, there is no beverage package that has to be purchased. Instead, it's all included. Fine wines, beers, and spirits are all included, essentially an open bar. And that includes not just alcoholic drinks, but soft drinks, specialty coffees, and teas, all included. And if you want to splash out on that perfect bottle of wine or a bit of ultra-fine cognac, it's all available for an upcharge. Another nice inclusion is full access to the spa. Generally, that means the his and her steam room and sauna, as well as the fitness center. Of course, you have the option of booking spa services such as massages and treatments of various types for a substantial upcharge. Another big pro in my book is the fact that gratuities are included in your cruise fare. Now, believe me, I know that you are just paying those gratuities up front, but because it's built into the cruise fare, there is no surprise bill at the end of the cruise. Now, of course, if you receive extra special service, you're welcome to tip accordingly, but otherwise, there is no handout for anything else. Another nice inclusion that is a bit of a pro and a con at the same time is the included Wi-Fi. All of Regent's ships are now connected by Starlink, so the pros are it's included. The cons are it's not very fast. There is an upgrade option where you can purchase the streaming package and get much better and faster internet for $19.95 per day per user. Here's another included service that's a big perk, and that's the free valet laundry service. Put your bag of laundry out in the hall before 9 a.m., and it's usually back the same day. Now, this is wet wash only unless you're in the Regent suite, paying thousands upon thousands of dollars per night, and there they'll toss in dry cleaning as well. But dry cleaning is available for an extra charge if that's what you need. Also included is 24/7 room service. You can have anything delivered from full meals to snacks, and there is never an upcharge. Here is a snapshot of the most recent menu, and although we never utilized room service, I assume that it's of decent quality. Well, it's time for some final thoughts. On this particular voyage, did everything go smoothly? Well, for the most part, yes. Were there issues? Well, yes. Could it have been better? Possibly. But there are truly a lot of moving parts in a trip this long, and we were able to comfortably visit a part of the world that we had never been to before. And while one of Regent's older ships, the Voyager, is well maintained and still a beautiful ship, it's going into dry dock in April and May for an update and refresh, so it's only going to get better with time. Bottom line, would we do it again? Yes, I think we would. Well, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to be kept up to date with new videos as they are posted. Next up is part 1 of this multi-part series as we embark in Barcelona, enjoy a day at sea, head to Cadiz, Spain, another day at sea, and then on to Arrecife in the Canary Islands. Well, thank you for watching, and please check out some of our other videos. And as always, safe and happy cruising from T's Cruise and Travel Muse.